you know, deportation, but see, it's all alleged. Mm-hmm. That's a problem, and you have to follow the laws, or pretty soon this country is not what it was. Let's go to Aaron of Boise. Aaron, good morning.
Gentlemen, good morning. Hey, so I actually called just to express my dismay, really, at all the hysteria and ridiculous comments that have been made surrounding the Boston Massacre 2013.
Give us some examples.
Well, I'll give you the biggest one. People talking about kicking people out of the country, banning religion, banning immigration, all that kind of stuff. But I started to think after, the days after this story unfolded, I was reading into it, and as these valid claims of FBI contact came up, I started thinking, where have I read this before? Where have I seen this before? And you guys this morning are talking about, what could we have done to prevent this from happening? And I'd like to suggest that every single person has been wildly off the mark. And in fact, the real solution would be to abolish the FBI. Now, that might sound extreme, but I understand history. So I'd like to give you a little history lesson, Paul J.
All right.
Back in the day, and you can appreciate this, we used to have real journalists who actually broke real news.
True.
So everything I'm about to tell you is actually documented fact. It's not an Alex Jones report. It was actually broke by Dan Rather on CBS in '93. So do you remember the first World Trade Center bombing?
Yes.
Do you remember the name of the guy who built that bomb?
Not right offhand.
His name was Emad Salem, and he was an FBI informant. Now, he became really famous when he released the tapes that he made. He recorded his phone calls and conversations and all that with his FBI handlers. And the tapes revealed some really amazing things. Among them, the FBI paid for that bomb to be built. They knew that they were building it. When Emad Salem, who was their paid informant, told them, hey, we can substitute these explosive chemicals for latent chemicals that won't blow up and fool them all, the FBI fired him. And it was at that point he started recording his phone calls and conversations. Well, all this came out in court. When these guys are being tried in court, Ramzi Youssef and the other radicals that actually went and did it, Emad came forward and said, hey, don't try me. I have evidence right here that the FBI knew the bombing was going to happen, that they paid me, I was their informant, that I suggested we could stop it, foil the plot, and they refused. So that is proof. That is documented evidence. You wonder where these kids are getting their money to run around in the BMW or Mercedes or whatever it is.
Well, they stole the
yet they
Mercedes.
Have so much money. What do you think? I mean, do you think they're getting paid by someone? I think that it's well past the time that we wake up. The reason our society is decaying is because of these corrupt institutions that everyone has their trust all in. And it's very misguided. Even the smallest amount of research will tell you.
Well, I mean, there's research and there's research. You can find anything on the Internet that you want. You can find something to support any point of view you have on the Internet, and it's all documented, allegedly.
This is CBS News, Dan Rather, New York Times, L.A. Times, documented in court, Paul J., in federal court transcripts. It's not a conspiracy. This is factual. I'm reciting facts.
All right. Very good. Thanks, Aaron.
No. And
I'm looking, I mean, I'm on the Internet. I was on the Internet when Aaron was speaking, and I didn't see anything from CBS News. I'm looking now, and there is apparently at least a lot to what he says. I mean, there's some of the things, but whether or not the FBI wanted him, gave him a bomb to blow up the World Trade Center, seems a stretch.
But I'm looking at an article from the New York Times archives.
Yeah, Youssef mailed letters to various New York newspapers before the attack.
And the reason I'm looking at it is because Aaron sent it to me.
Yeah.
And it says, bomb informers' tapes give rare glimpse of FBI dealings. And it's from Halloween in 1993.
Yeah.
So this has been 20 years ago.
Yeah, okay, so he claimed he belonged to the Liberation Army 5th Battalion. The letters made 3 demands: an end to all U.S. aid to Israel, an end to U.S. diplomatic relations with Israel, and a pledge by the United States to end interference with any Middle East country's interior affairs.
So,
well, he's 0 for 3, isn't he?
What it demanded was that we simply break off ties with Israel and leave that part of the world alone.
Yeah, he stated that the attack on the World Trade Center would be merely the first of such attacks if his demands were not met. In his letters, Youssef admitted that the World Trade Center bombing was an act of terrorism, but justified it because the terrorism that Israel practices, which America supports, must be faced with a similar one.
Okay, we're going to have to
We'll take a break.
When we come back, I've got an instant message from Jim of Boise that lines out the fact that we have 2 choices that we can believe, and I'll tell you what they are.
All right. It's 9:34, Paul, Jay, and Chris on a Thursday morning. In the course where we're talking now, our last caller, Aaron, wanted to abolish the FBI because of their involvement in the first World Trade Center bombing. And he said, did he not say that Emad Salem was the guy who bombed the Trade Center?
That's what when he started off, he said, do you know the name of the guy who built the bomb that bombed the World Trade Center? And we both said no, and then he said Emad Salem.
Yeah, Ramzi Ahmed Youssef was the architect of the World Trade Center bombing. In the course of the trial, it was revealed that the FBI had an informant, a former Egyptian army officer named Emad Salem. Salem claims to have informed the FBI of the plot to bomb the towers as early as February 6, 1992. A month ahead of time, Salem's role as informant allowed the FBI to quickly pinpoint the conspirators out of hundreds of possible suspects.
But apparently not stop them ahead of time.
Yeah, Salem, initially believing that this was to be a sting operation, claimed the FBI's original plan was for Salem to supply the conspirators with a harmless powder instead of actual explosives to build their bomb. But the FBI chose to use him for other purposes instead, so he didn't contribute that. He secretly recorded hundreds of hours of telephone conversations, as Aaron said, with his FBI handlers.
All right.
And although the FBI received the credit, Diplomatic Security Service special agents actually found and arrested Ramzi Ahmed Youssef.
Okay. Instant message from Jim of Boise says, at this point, you have 2 choices you can believe. 1, our intelligence is completely incompetent, incapable of protecting us, and all of this security is useless, missing every obvious thing, even when tipped off by a foreign government. Or 2, our intelligence knows exactly what it's doing, which is what you refuse to believe, Paul J., that our government is just that corrupt, that those in power are tyrants seeking to usurp the Constitution and turn our nation of freedom into a land of slaves and servitude.
Again, to what purpose? I mean, I guess they want to make us slaves in servitude. I don't believe that.
He says there is only one logical...
Do you believe that, Chris?
No. He says there is only one logical explanation for arming drug cartels with weapons and cell phones while allowing no-knock searches, gun bans, gate rape by the TSA, and unmanned drones patrolling the United States. Open your eyes.
Well, all right. The unmanned drones thing is another subject for another time. They have good uses. What was the first part of that you just read? You got rid of it?
Yeah, I did. Hang on, I can find it.
I lost my train of thought there. Oh, the corruption? I believe that there are corrupt individuals in the government. I do not believe the whole government is corrupt.
Okay.
I refuse to believe that.
Yeah, and he says there is only one logical explanation for arming drug cartels with weapons and cell phones while allowing no-knock searches, gun bans, gate rape by the TSA, and unmanned drones patrolling the United States. But his 2 choices that you can believe. You can either believe that our intelligence community is incompetent, or you can believe that the government is completely corrupt and they're all in on it. And
it's not that black and white.
No, I don't think it is either. I don't think you have to pick those two things. It could be a little of a lot of things. And I don't think necessarily it's incompetence that allowed these two to slip through the cracks. Everybody who knew them or knew anything about them said they couldn't believe these two guys could do that. Chances are they'd been checked out a few times, and they could have just as easily gotten by the investigators.
All right, let's go to Hank of Boise. Hank, good morning.